Weird. All right, we have music now. That's weird. Just looking at me with music. Anyway, welcome to Passively Offside. I am obviously not Boris. I'm Taylor. I'm gonna be taking over a couple things while Boris is at Mount St. Helens. Let's go to Boris. Boris, how's Mount St. Helens?
Um, we are live and we are exploding.
Whoa.
Um, I don't know, but we are live and there's magma.
All
Back to
right,
you.
that's enough of that. Okay, cool. Anyway, are you okay? Welcome to Passively Offside. Again, I'm Taylor, joined with the Passively Offside team in the studio and Boris while he's away for the summer remotely. We're going to get right into things here, talking about our scores, as you know, for our predictions. So, for Week 8, we have myself at 10 out of 37. Boris, you are at 12 out of 37. Brandon is at 16 out of 34, still our leader. Nephi's got 7 out of 26, and Splenda's got 6 out of 27.
Did we not get updated?
I think you guys missed a whole week or something. I don't know. Take it up with Boris. He's the boss. I don't do these things. Our next thing, as you guys know, our Goal of the Week, Save of the Week, and Player of the Week. This week is actually different than the last couple of weeks for once, because we're not doing Dempsey as Player of the Week again. We have Goal of the Week as Bradley Wright Phillips. That was a really good goal. You guys saw that goal? It's a good goal. Save of the Week, we have Clark on Alexander. Made a great one-on-one foot save, so that was really, really clean. Speaking of Save of the Week, one of the main reasons we picked that is because 2 of the 5 Save of the Week nominees weren't even on target. I don't know if you guys saw that, but 2 of them weren't going in anyway. I don't really count that as a save, but I'm not MLSsoccer.com. Player of the Week, we have Bradley Wright Phillips with 4 goals through the week. He is murdering it. So, Boris, go ahead and kick us off with our normal topics, and let's get started.
Just kind of wanted to add to that whole thing. Bradley Wright Phillips could have had 5 if it wasn't for, again, another save by Clark, denying him on a one-on-one opportunity as well. Going into this week, one thing that we're really excited about, just because it's another piece of silverware and it's something all teams in the MLS should be striving for, is the U.S. Open Cup. It's the 101st version of this cup. It is gonna be the biggest field of play ever. Obviously, it includes all the MLS teams that are in the United States. The first round where MLS teams will be prevalent is going to be the 4th round, which will be between June 10th and June 18th, and then the final will be played either September 30th or October 1st. Now, big thing with the U.S. Open Cup that we kind of like to stir a little controversy on is, will the MLS be dominant as ever and just go ahead and win it? Last year we had a couple of lower division teams make it into the 3rd and 2nd round, only to have RSL and DC United meet for that final, with DC United obviously winning. So will MLS win it again this year, or can we see a dark horse probably grab this title and them represent CCL? Go ahead and let's get Brandon's take on this.
Well, everyone's talking about Orlando City as their dark horse. While I really like Orlando's chances, I gotta say my personal dark horse is the New York Cosmos. If you look at their roster, there's a lot of talent from La Liga and former MLS players. They have a very good team, and apparently, yes, a Super Cup winner.
Yeah, actually, the New York Cosmos beat out Orlando City 2 years ago for that cup. Not a year ago for that cup. Nephi, any predictions on what this might be, or anything you're looking forward to with the U.S. Open Cup?
I just think as this keeps going years and years, we're going to have more teams from USL and everything else coming up. With especially Orlando and Cosmos, you hear a lot of them in the news. I would expect the same as last year, them getting farther and farther.
One of the things I kind of wanted to point out before I send this over to Taylor and see if he has had any opinions on this is Bruce Arena came out and said the LA Galaxy is actually they're in it to win it this year, and then go ahead with his coach belief with LA Galaxy 2 says no, we're gonna take it. Hey, two teams in LA going for it. I'm all for it. Taylor, what are your views on this?
I'm actually going to give this to Brandon real quick. He wanted to add something, so what do you have?
I just wanted to point out that this is actually the New York Cosmos' first Open Cup ever. This is the first time they've ever been in it, and with their payroll and their roster, I don't think they're going to get taken down by any USL competition here.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm glad you added that because that's an important key here. Regardless of that, with Bruce Arena really, pushing, saying LA's in it to win it, and with other MLS teams, I mean, come on, you guys know how I feel about DC United, and they won it last year, and they're playing really strong this year in regular season. I still think an MLS team is going to take it again this year. I mean, MLS teams don't win it every year. If you look back, since MLS started, they don't win it every single year. But I think there's a good chance it's going to happen again.
Just to add one more thing on what you said there, Taylor, and this is something I kind of laugh on, and my buddy Steve out in DC would probably love that we saying this. DC United actually took away 3 big things from RSL last year: the Open Cup, CCL, and home field advantage, because what happened during the season was RSL lost to them, which kept Sporting KC a couple points above RSL, and the final was in Kansas City. Just kind of throwing that out there. Back to you, Taylor.
Cool. Well, I'm glad we got to talk about that a little bit. It's coming up soon. I know I'm excited about it. I know these guys are excited about it. We, for the most part, did you come to the final last year, Splenda? Open Cup? I don't know if have you started coming to games yet. Anyway, we all, at least most of us, went to the final last year. So awesome game. I'm excited to see some more come up. Moving on to other MLS-specific stuff. We talked about him before. We talked about him earlier in this podcast. He's our player of the week. Bradley Wright Phillips just dominated this week. And he's hold your hats for this one. He's the first English player to ever score a hat trick in the MLS, according to Boris. Because I know Nephi's giving me a weird look. According to Boris, he's the first one to ever score a hat trick in the MLS, which, if true, which I trust our fearless leader Boris, is just absolutely incredible. He scored 4 this week, and like Boris said, if it wasn't for that great save, he could have had 5 and 2 winners for New York. So we know a little bit about him, obviously. He went through the Man City Academy, played in Southampton, played 111 games for Southampton, I believe. Also played for Charlton Athletic, and was at Brentford on loan when he was picked up. So is this guy the real deal? I mean, are we going to start seeing something, really happening with this guy? Let's go over to Splenda here. I want to get a little from you.
So, having this guy being from the English Premier League, coming up through an academy, he's got a different look at things. He's got that kind of English-style football, and that's something that we haven't seen a lot in the MLS. This is something that I think can definitely cause other EPL players, some guys that really aren't playing as much as they want, to come over here, play in the MLS, really get some good minutes, and really get the kind of fame they want. I can see a lot of guys that, on the reserve teams, they want to have their name on the back of jerseys that all the little kids are wearing. They want to come over here and they want to be a big fish in a small pond. And this, I think, Bradley Wright Phillips is giving them that opportunity and showing them this is really happening. So it's definitely a good thing in my mind.
Cool. Yeah, Splenda and I talked about this earlier before the show, and that we've seen a lot of EPL people interested in MLS now. Boris, I know you have something to say about this. What do you have for me?
Well, just one of the things that we should kind of know about Bradley Wright Phillips is he comes from a footballing family. His dad, Ian Phillips, was a English international. His brother Sean, he's playing in the EPL right now. This kid grew up in soccer. So the fact that, he decided to ply his trade here with the New York Red Bulls, you know what? I'm okay with it. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm glad to see young talent coming to the United States and the MLS not being a retirement league. This can only help us go forward, and I love it.
Yeah, it's nice to know we aren't just the last resort for players at the end of their careers. Two of our main EPL and just in general across the water fans here are Brandon and Nephi. I want you both to give me a little bit about kind of your opinions about EPL or even any other players from across the pond coming over to the MLS. Let's start with you, Brandon.
Well, personally, I like to see more Premier League teams send some of their fringe players, their reserves that don't get a lot of game time to MLS, where it is a high level of a league. It may not be the Premier League, but it is a high level of competition. For example, as a Swansea fan.
You okay?
No.
What's happening? Oh, yeah. Just so you know, we might have some weird issues today because everyone besides me can hear everyone, including me, besides Boris, because of how our setup is right now. So bear with us. I'm sorry. Brandon, finish your point out for me. Take your headphones out if you have to.
As a Swansea fan, I know that a player with a lot of talent named Rory Donnelly hasn't been getting any game time with anything other than the Swansea U21s. That said, during the preseason, he rolled through a bunch of different European teams, specifically in Sweden and in the Netherlands. Rolled through them, scoring, I believe it was 7 goals in 5 games. He's a great player with a very great high end for his potential. And there are players like that on every single team in the Premier League. There is no reason why they shouldn't be getting top-level competition with an MLS club, even if you want to drop them to the Sky Bet Championship. I'm just saying that they need game time. They need to go somewhere. And why not MLS? MLS is an up-and-coming league where a young talent like that can continue to grow.
Cool. And, a lot of people have said that MLS is getting to the same place as EPL. Well, I don't personally believe that quite yet. I can see it happening, and I can see where that's coming from.
The thing I want to add onto that, New York FC, look right there. Manchester City is planning on sending their younger talent to MLS. I think right there, once they have that established and you start seeing that pay off for them, other teams are going to be like, why aren't we doing the same thing? Man City's doing it. Let's do the same thing. Let's send some of our players down there. And I think that what MLS needs to do is protect players like that. That way, clubs aren't afraid of them going down and getting hurt. And then, I'm fine with that if MLS comes out and says, we need to protect these players so our league can grow. Then all means, let's protect players and let's see this league grow. And if we're a farm team league for 5-6 years while we get better and better, yeah, let's do it.
Cool. I love that opinion. I think, I really think the same thing. Send them over here, let them get better, bring them back. That's really how players get better, by playing. You can't bench someone and hope they get better. Boris, you hit me up saying you had one more thing for me. Close us out and then bring us on to the next one.
Yeah, no, the only thing that just sparks the debate, kind of what Nephi said towards the end there, of MLS becoming a farm league. We do want to try to keep a lot of our talent in-house. I mean, yeah, going to Europe, 5-7 years ago was the thing. Let's go to Europe. Let's go to Europe. You're seeing nowadays a lot of our youngsters are kind of staying here. A couple of them getting big contracts out there. But all those big national team players, they're all here in the MLS. The only other side of that debate that I'd say is we don't want them to take our youngsters from our league. they should stay in our league and to help grow. So, if NYC has an academy and they, Manchester City's like, well, you have 5 kids that we want here in England, that's going to be sucky for the development of our youth here in the States. That's the only thing I kind of wanted to add on that. I don't know if anyone's got any points they want to bring up.
Well, I
after
mean,
that.
talking about that, think of, you guys know I love talking about Breck Shea. Breck Shea, phenomenal player for FC Dallas, went off to Stoke. How many times has Breck Shea played?
He played more in was it
The
the
second
second
division.
division team that he went down to until he
Burnley?
Breck Shea. It
Breck
was
Shea.
Breck Shea, but
No, was it Burnley?
Oh,
no middle fingers to your fans. Come on, man.
I can't remember what league they were in or
Oh.
whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my thing. Breck Shea is an obvious, selling point of maybe you don't want to go over there just yet. Maybe you want to play it out in the MLS. Other than that, I mean, it is what it is.
Well,
Exactly.
the one thing I want to add really quick to this is right now we should be more like teams like Ajax. Those are the teams right now, those lower division teams that are producing great quality. Once we hit that caliber, then I think we can try to make the next step to competing with the EPL league. But comparing MLS straight to EPL, there's too much of a gap.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying we're comparing them that way. I'm just saying we don't want to give up our younger talent to go out that way. I feel like, yeah, if you get a big contract because you're a good player, good, but let them develop here because we need the people here. Going on to our next kind of topic here, we'll just cut it off clean there. It's our little segment that we call Nephi's Corner, and the only reason we call it that way, that corner, is because we're talking about our man Clint Dempsey. He's got 8 goals in 6 games. He's the current Golden Boot leader for the MLS. Colorado did look pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. Him and Obafemi Martins, they've just been clicking for the past 4 games. Like, everything seems to be working through them. Everything's going kind of up the gut through them. They're developing into probably the deadliest strike partnership in the MLS right now. The only other ones we can kind of think of that are there, probably Bradley Wright Phillips and Henry. A lot of ones with a lot of big potential. Want to ask Brandon's opinion on this. If not Obafemi and Clint, who?
If not them,
I think it's safe to say it's them right
Yeah.
I mean,
now.
I'm gonna have to say Thierry Henry and Bradley Wright Phillips are looking like the strike partnership with the most upside as far as potential, especially with Bradley Wright Phillips being so young. But as far as strongest one in the league right now at this moment, it's got to be Obafemi Martins and Clint Dempsey. There isn't much of a question about that. 3 years from now, I'm almost certain if Bradley Wright Phillips is still here, it will be he and Thierry Henry, assuming Thierry Henry hasn't retired, of course, and Thierry Henry's like 1,000,000 years old.
Or died.
Hey, the only thing I want to add to what you just said, or died, or still not oldest, Arsene Wenger still wants him back.
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense
They'll-
for Arsene.
Well, because he is a terrible manager.
Can we switch from Grandpa Nielsen over to Grandpa Henry?
I think so.
Can we do that? So you all know, those of you who are watching, we did have a running group in a running joke in our group that the SKC keeper, who just retired, great keeper, gotta love him, I guess.
You have to.
I mean, he's good. Salt Lake fan.
The dude played MLS Cup final with broken rib.
And is 80 years old.
And it wasn't a broken.
He had his arthritis medicine.
No, it was a broken hip. It was a broken hip.
All right, kind of getting us back on topic here. Linda, I wanted to go ahead and ask you the question on that. We have a lot of strike partnerships out there, a couple that have a lot of positive upside. Taking away Clint Dempsey and Obafemi Martins, which one do you think would be a little bit more deadlier? I guess it would be the way to say it. Would it be Quincy Amarikwa and Mike McGee over in Chicago, or a Landon Donovan, Robbie Keane in LA?
I would probably have to go with Landon Donovan and Robbie Keane. I really don't know any other kind of strike partners that really have the firepower that they do. We've talked about Landon Donovan. He has the all-time goal record coming up for him. He's tied with it right now. Am I wrong? All-time goal scored. Is that right?
Tied.
Yeah, tied. One more to win.
One more to win. So really, I'm going to have to go with the kind of ignorant way and say, he's got the most goals. He's probably the deadliest because he can finish. Obviously, he's tied with the record. There's a reason for that. So I would probably have to go with Landon Donovan and Robbie Keane on that one.
Nice.
If I can add something here real quick. The one partnership, I would say Landon and Keane, because Landon's leaving a little bit, but Izizaki and Keane, they're going to have a lot of time playing together because Dempsey's leaving for a good chunk of time. I can see those two becoming a really good partnership.
Yeah, with Donovan leaving for a couple weeks, you're absolutely right. That's going to be big.
And LA's only had, Boris, correct me, 2 games really with Ishizaki playing? And I'm probably butchering his name, but...
It's Ishisaki. You got it.
He's close.
It's the Japanese Swede.
Yes.
He's sweet.
Yeah, dude. We talked about it last week.
Yeah, well, that's good. It's good. We wanted to get all those out there as many. Go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and send this over to Taylor. He's got our next topic for us today.
Let's talk pizza, boys. Let's talk pizza, and specifically pizza hair. I don't know if you all saw, but a wonderful man named Dominic Aduru.
No, Aduru.
Right?
It is Aduru.
God, I am bad today. He cut his hair like pizza. He cut so both sides, I think, just a big curved. It was weird as hell. Pizza slice with pepperoni and dyed it.
Yeah.
And in case you missed it, like some of my friends in here did, he had the week before he did this. So last week, he scored a goal, and his goal celebration was someone either in his front office or a fan. I don't know. Someone was just holding a white generic box of pizza. He went over, he ate a piece, and then he gave it to fans. This guy's crazy. Pizza hair. That's weird. But the big question here is he on par with some other crazy hairstyles? We got Yedlin. He's got just the weird, I don't even know.
Pepe Le Pew.
Yes, thank you.
go.
Oh, that's what I was trying to think of.
Well, him and Zardes. Him and Zardes do
Zardes with the Pepe Le Pew. And then let's think back. What about Lagerwey's rubber bands? And what about Alexi Lawless, otherwise known as Duncan Gillis, his caveman? And I'm sorry that no one's going to know that because that's a personal friend. And closing out that list, what about Rufio? Sebastian Velasquez, who no longer has crazy hair, but he was Rufio, and he had a mullet, half mullet? It was a half mullet.
a rat tail.
It was like a half mullet
What was that?
that I think he put in a rat tail. Like if he undid it, this side was shaved and then just mullet, and then he put it in a rat tail, and then he had steps up the back. It was awful. It was awful. So anyway, the question here is crazy hairstyles, famous hairstyles. What do we think of this? It has nothing to do with soccer, but we want to talk about it. And Splenda, because you don't have a beard, I want you to discuss this first.
So in soccer, there's not a lot of kind of personality ways that guys can kind of make themselves different, ways that guys can really express who they are. And I think this kind of pizza hairstyle, the crazy hair stuff, aside from your boots, everything else is the same. You can have a short sleeve shirt or a long sleeve shirt. There's not a lot of personalization. And so I think this is a great thing for guys to kind of get out there and do something different. And I think it's a great thing. Pizza haircut or no, it's wild. It's something for the fans to kind of latch onto. Obviously, we're talking about it. It's probably got a lot of other people talking about it. Where does it end? I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but I think it's something funny to look at and something funny to see. So
You got my vote.
Oh, the humanity. Where does it end?
Yes.
Dogs marrying other dogs. Boris, you have a mohawk. Tell me things. Look at that. Look at that mohawk right now.
It's on it, not in its full glory right now. Honestly, when I played soccer back when I was a young kid, very young kid, 10 years ago, right? High school. Um, I let my hair grow out. I had it, in a ponytail that was up here. You know, it was just a soccer thing. Hair's where you can personalize, like Splenda said. It's fun. For those of you that don't know what Garth Lagerway's hairstyle was, if you've ever watched the Rugrats, Angelica had a doll. Doll had hair that had like seven little spikes with rubber bands on it. That's exactly what Garth Lagerway looked like. Echeverry, Tampa Bay Mutiny, that taking you back there. His hair, the big fro. It's
Yeah.
it's something soccer players do. You got nothing else, might as well do something. Make yourself stand out. And we're all talking about Dominic Orduro, so it worked.
Yeah, I'll give you that. We are discussing him, and otherwise maybe he would fall between the cracks, so good for you, Pizza Head. Honestly, that's all the hair I can talk about for one podcast. Just go to the next thing.
All right. Um, next thing on our agenda here, can Portland finally get a win? They haven't won a game all season long. A year ago, against DC United, you would bet a solid bill that Portland would win that game. This year, not so much. This year, Portland seems to be kind of struggling, except for the game where they tied with Seattle, where they opened up the floodgates and then they let the floodgates open on them too. But DC's been hot. DC's been, kind of cranking out some goals, despite the red card that happened. DC's on a streak. What do you guys say? Does Portland finally get their win, or does DC shut them down? And are we seeing, the last of Caleb Porter? Is his job in danger or not? Go ahead and send this over to Nephi.
With Caleb Porter, I don't think he's at any risk right now of losing his job. His team's playing fairly well. They haven't been winning, but they haven't been playing it bad. They're just in a funk. But with DC, their last game, if you look at the game, Dallas scores first, and then they get the red card in the 39th minute, and then DC gets one before the half, and then after that, they get their next three. And then if you look at the previous games before that, they weren't dominating performances. Not taking anything from DC, but I'm not going to say they're a playoff team yet either.
Okay, cool. Brandon, with DC and Portland the way that they are right now in between the season, there are two teams that qualified for the CONCACAF Champions League for us. DC getting it through the U.S. Open Cup, and Portland getting it by having the most points in the Western Conference. Are we gonna be well represented this year? What are your thoughts?
Personally, I don't think we're going to be as well represented as we could be. I don't really believe DC United earned it other than the Cup win, but that's why the Cup exists. DC earned it through the Cup, hence they're in. Are they the strongest team that could have won it? No, absolutely not. That said, I absolutely disagree with Portland being there. In order to be in a Champions League, you have to have won something, especially in the way that MLS had it set up originally. You had the two MLS Cup finalists, both who went home with silverware after they won their respective conference championships. The MLS Cup, the Supporter Shield winner, who gets another piece of silverware, and the U.S. Open Cup champion, who gets another piece of silverware. Changing it to the Western Conference regular season champion, to me, is kind of silly because this isn't a season. It's a cup tournament. you need a team that is strong in cup tournaments there. And that isn't Portland. And right now, being strong in the regular season isn't Portland either, so let's just leave that part alone. But I think RSL in this case is clearly the better team to have been in there. But, MLS wanted to change their rule. They think that in the long run will be stronger for the league, and that remains to be seen for now. But I don't think it worked out this season.
This brings up a great point. Our 4 teams that are heading into the CONCACAF Champions League is the New York Red Bulls, Sporting Kansas City, Portland Timbers, and DC United. Taylor, out of that field, thinking Sporting is the strongest without, going with what happened this past Champions League, how far do you see them or New York going?
Through the beginning of the season, obviously from last season to this season, the strongest team out of that group, SKC. Red Bulls are okay right now. They're not amazing. They're doing all right. DC's kind of on an upswing a little bit, and Portland sucks. So, realistically, I could see an MLS team win it, but no, I couldn't see them win it. Let me take that back. I don't think I could see them win it. I think I could see an MLS team get close, and I think our best hope is Sporting Kansas City, followed by New York if they can make something happen.
Cool. Nephi, what are your thoughts on this?
Really quick on this. Everyone needs to remember one thing. Salary cap goes up.
Yes, that is true. Okay, so obviously go MLS.
Yeah.
All right. Going on to our next one. Hot or not the dating website. Teal Bunbury has gone ahead and scored. Got an assist the game before, scored. Our resident SKC fan told us all he is a hot or not player. Once he gets kind of cranking, he gets cranking. The Revs have gotten him to score. He scored against his old club. Do the Revs stay hot with him warming up? The Revolution have put in a couple of good performances as of late. What do you think on this, Brandon?
The part of me that really admires Teal Bunbury really hopes that that goal he scored was intentional. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it doesn't exactly look like that was what he was going for. That said, if that goal builds his confidence, I expect many more goals to come. The only thing that worries me is the New England defense, and that hasn't been a very strong thing that they've had. They held Sporting to 0. However, that was with the help of a red card. So,
well, it was a Aurelian call-in, and he deserved it.
It could go either way.
It was a Aurelian call-in, and he deserved it.
No, he did. Oh, yeah.
Which, by the way, another running joke we've had has been that he deserves a red card at least once a game. That was his first. That was his first in the MLS. So, I guess that joke died quick.
Kind of to go back to that subject for you, Brandon, one more follow-up question before we move on. The New England Revolution faced Toronto FC this weekend with Jermaine Defoe being back and Michael Bradley. Do we see Toronto taking it to them and crushing New England's run, or does New England stand up to it?
No question in my mind. Toronto is going to win this game. I do think that Teal will score again, but I'm thinking probably 2-1, 2 goals from Jermaine Defoe.
All right, great. Taylor, go ahead and round us off here.
Cool. Well, just a couple other things here before we get to your favorite segment of our show. We had an interesting game here in Salt Lake. RSL scored. Yeah, I know, Splenda, I know. RSL scored 2 quick goals on Vancouver in the first half. Looked like we were dominating. Made some changes in the second half, sent in some reserves, and Vancouver equalizes in the second half in the 93rd minute with a laser of a shot that we almost gave goal of the week, but it wasn't anything overly special. So what's going on with RSL? What's happening in the second half? Touch on this quick for me, Splenda. What do you have?
Yeah, so I was going to look it up really quick, but just off the top of my head, we subbed in mids and attackers in our subs. We subbed in some guy that I mean, John Sturzinger or something.
John Snow.
So, something like that in the 90th minute. There was no defensive legs, and Vancouver was pushing the ball a lot. And so I'm going to say that those 90th minute the 90th minute goal was a bit of a lapse in judgment. It was getting up there. I think it was 93-50 on 4 minutes of stoppage time. Guys were kind of already starting to check out a little bit, looking past the team, and I'm hoping Jeff Cassar really pushes this week in practice that it's not over till that final whistle blows, especially in soccer where it's really up to the judgment of the head referee as to when to call the game, and we saw that. It really stung us hard. So I'm really hoping that this was a momentary lapse in judgment. Yeah, we got a draw. We still got a point, but it should have been a win. So, yeah.
Thank you. And Boris, give me a little more before we round out here.
Just kind of, it's looking to be complacency issues. They get up, we're doing this, we're winning. Let's go ahead and let's bring in John Sturzer. Let's bring in Olmez Garcia. Let's bring in Sebastian Velasquez. You've got 4 guys that anchor their back line that have been, doing it for 3 games in a row. Hey, they get tired too, not just attackers. But with saying that, though, that 93rd minute goal, that was all Alvaro Saborío's fault. Took way too heavy of a touch, got stripped, and then that goal came about. Mental lapses is what's happening. I figure if Cassar talks with them, says, hey, let's not be complacent, let's go ahead and keep attacking till the whistle blows, I can see RSL getting a little bit better. Hey, just going to point out for them, the last team that's beat RSL was in 2013, and it was the LA Galaxy on the away leg with Sean Franklin's laser of a goal. After that, besides, SKC, regular season, they have not lost in a game. So.
Cool. Good words on that. I like that you brought that in because, of course, you would say LA's done something good at some point in some time. Whatever. We have fun here.
I like that he mentioned Sporting, too.
Well, yeah. I think he was mostly talking regular season, but yes, Sporting beat us in the Cup. And I'm going to turn my hat around because I wasn't trying to be team-specific, but I'm going to be team-specific for the end of the podcast. Just because of you. Now I look like an idiot. Okay. Enough of that. Let's close out here, guys. It's your favorite segment, predictions for Week 8. I'm going to kick us off with Toronto, New England. I'm going with what Brandon said earlier as well. I think Toronto is just stronger. I see them taking this one. Vancouver, San Jose. Neither of them are great right now, but I think San Jose's worse. I give this one to Vancouver, and San Jose can keep sucking. Nephi, you've got 2 for me.
Yeah, I'm going with RSL. I think after that tie, they are going to look to prove something. And so on the road, I'm going to say they take it. Colorado and LA. LA's got fresh legs. Hopefully they've been doing some good work on their buys. So I'm going to give this to LA.
Cool. I flipped my hat back around so you could see me. Boris, you also have... I'm sorry, I skipped Brandon. Brandon, you have 2 for me. Go.
I have Seattle and Philly. I can't do it with these headphones in, man.
Yeah, fix this.
I've got Seattle and Philly. I'm going with Seattle. Seattle's just way too strong right now. Every time Clint Dempsey's in or around the box, you think something's going to happen. And whenever someone double teams Clint to try to make sure that doesn't happen, Obafemi Martins is open and he can finish. So I think Seattle over Philly. And you know what? I think Portland gets their first win this week. I think DC is riding pretty high on the confidence they have. But I think Portland comes out and smashes them down and puts them right back where they belong.
Cool. Over to you, Boris.
Yeah, first of all, Chivas USA versus Houston. Houston, they're just coming off of kind of a rough week. Being beaten 4-0 is gonna linger on you for a while. This is in Los Angeles. Chivas doesn't get a lot of fans there. I'm saying Houston wins. Houston over Chivas. Houston gets back on their horse. Dallas versus New York Red Bulls. This is a good matchup. New York's hot. Dallas is at the top of the Western Conference. I'm going to go with a draw on that game.
Cool. Before I go over to you, Splenda, last week we discussed the shutout record, and Splenda's prediction for RSL was, and I'm quoting as best as I can from listening to it, I give this one RSL 2-1. No wait, 2-0, because Raimondo's definitely got it. So, sorry to RSL fans that watch our podcast, it's all Splenda's fault. Splenda, you've got one for me.
SKC and Columbus, top 2 in the Eastern table, a great 1 and 2 matchup. Just to be a thorn in Brandon's side, I'm going to say 2-1 Columbus. Just to be a thorn in his side. I think this could be a great early season preview for what the playoffs could be like. End of the playoffs, a 1-2 matchup like SKC and Columbus, if they both keep playing like they're playing, could definitely see some good things toward the end of the season.
Haters gonna hate.
Shots fired.
Yep.
All right, thanks, guys. We want to kind of close out on kind of lower note here. While we enjoy our podcast, we do have to, kind of look at the rest of the MLS world as well. We love our home team and we love other clubs. Recently, we heard some news about Bonnie Ellefson passing away, part of the Timbers Army 108s. Our sincerest condolences go out to the 108s and her family, friends, anyone who knew her. It always sucks losing supporters, and really our condolences go out to you. And with that, I think we've come to an end here. I've had fun. Have you guys had fun?
Yes. Yep.
Everyone nod your head like a child. All right. Thank you so much for joining us this week on Passively Offside. Again, offside. Wow. You messed me up because you were saying there's no S earlier.
Here. Just go ahead and send it over this way. Send it over this way.
No. I got this. Thank you for joining us on Passively Offside. My name is Taylor, and I'm with the Passively Offside team. Bye!